Hey, everyone. Welcome to the December 21st City Council meeting for the City of North College Hill. We will start, as always, with our prayer for the NCH City Council. God, our Father, we are all your servants. We trust in your mercy and love. We trust also in your guidance. Direct the meetings of this council of North College Hill to make good decisions for all the people who live in our city. Give all the members of this council wisdom and insight to know what is best for our city. Help us to be fair and just in all our decisions. Bless us all to do the very best we can. With your help and guidance, we pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I didn't have my gavel, so. All right, call this meeting to order. We will now do the Pledge of Allegiance. Drew, can you put a camera on the flag?
Yep.
Got it? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Ms. Dewald, please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Here.
Miss Blythe,
Here.
Miss Underwood,
Present.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Present.
Miss Orr,
Since it's Christmas, I'm present too.
Miss Hartman,
Here.
and Miss Anderson.
I feel pressured. I'm present.
And that's sunny downtown North College Hill. All present, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, ma'am. So everyone should have an agenda for tonight's meeting.
Mr. President,
Ms. Orb?
I was wondering if we could move executive session. And hear me out. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm speculating the topic of executive session. And if it is what I believe it is, then it will need to be discussed prior to the salary ordinance that is on for legislation that I am hopeful would get suspended and passed. And I know I did not call for executive session. So if Matt Miller Novak could chime in and say if that's pertinent or if it is not.
Yeah, I mean, like it says, it's about compensation. So
But if it's not compensation that would be on that salary ordinance, then it's not.
it could be. So I mean, I'm fine doing it. I think that's a
Okay.
good idea.
You want to move it ahead of legislation?
That would be my suggestion, yes.
So that's a motion?
Sorry, I'll make a formal motion now that we've discussed it. Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to move the executive session from new business to immediately before legislation.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion. And with that, I'll also say that I got the invite to the executive session. So thank you.
Mr.
President, does the link to executive session, does that say panelist in the email?
Ms. Zorb? It does not, correct?
No,
It should be an email
Zoom
from
link.
Ms. Zorb.
The subject line should say Zoom link dash NCH executive session. I just sent it maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes ago-ish, just at the start of this meeting.
Yeah, I received it 3 minutes ago, Ms. Blythe. All right. All right, so the motion to move executive session from new business to right before legislation from Ms. Zorb with a second by Ms. Anderson. Any other discussion? Ms. Dewald, please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Yes.
and Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to move to move executive session to right before legislation passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey,
I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion.
motion for Ms. Bailey, second by Ms. Anderson to adopt the amended agenda for tonight. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Yes.
and Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to adopt the agenda passes 7-0.
Thank you, Ms. Dewald. All right, you have a minutes from the 12/7 meeting.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey,
I'll make a motion to adopt the meetings from 12/7.
Mr. President, I'll
motion
second
for
that
Ms.
motion.
Bailey. Ms. Anderson, yes, second. All right, motion for Ms. Bailey, second by Ms. Anderson to adopt the 12/7 meeting minutes. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Yes.
Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to adopt the minutes passes 7-0.
Thank you, ma'am. When you're ready, communications.
I had one piece of legislation. I don't know what to do with it. It was very insignificant, so I'll report on it next month.
All right, thank you. Council committees, first up, budget and finance.
Budget and Finance met last Monday on the 14th. We discussed the Rumpke legislation that is in front of us now. We also spent a good amount of time in executive session over the salary ordinance. We also discussed preparing an RFP to have our comprehensive plan. Oh wait, that was city and community development, my bad. We also discussed what it would look like to bring out a Parks and Levy recreation and some of the expectations in order to get that in front of council for everybody to vote on it, for the public to be able to vote, essentially. And then that is pretty much where we made it through, as executive session took us a little bit longer than what was planned for. And our next meeting will be the second Monday in January at 7:30 p.m.
Thank you. The second Monday in January would be the 11th.
Actually, that is tentative. We may have to move that or possibly switch Mondays. That is my little dude's 6th birthday, and so we may be partying over here.
Okay.
But tentatively, yeah.
All right. City and Community Development and Recreation.
So, also true, city and community development and recreation. We spent a good amount of our time talking about creating an RFP for our comprehensive plan to be re-looked at. We also talked about some goals for city and community development for the year of 2020. Let's see here. We definitely talked about Treaty City USA and taking root with OKI, and we are going to get in touch via our lovely Madam Mayor with the nice arborist, and so hopefully we will get that designation soon. And so that meeting, our next meeting will be January the 11th at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you.
We did not, right quick though, we did not talk about a co-chair or other chair for this committee that night. We will talk about it at our next meeting, just so that way we can clean that up, but we just kind of jumped right into it.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Next up. I'm sorry. Does somebody have something? All right. Next up, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Public Safety Committee has not met since the fourth Monday in November, and our next meeting will be the fourth Monday in January, or I'm sorry, in December.
So you're scheduled for 12/28.
That's correct.
All right. Rules and Public Policy.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Rules and Public Policy Committee has not met since the fourth Monday in November. Our next meeting is the fourth Monday in December.
Also 12/28. All right. Thank you. Any ad hoc reports? All right, I hear no ad hoc reports, so we'll turn it over to the administrative reports. Madam Mayor.
Good evening. Hi, I really don't have anything. I just want to wish everyone happy holidays and stay safe. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Next is the city administrator's report. Mr. Mosby. You are muted, sir.
Forgive me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I want to, first of all, wish everyone a happy holiday. I Also beginning in 2021, after a discussion that we had with Council Member Blythe, I thought she had a good idea regarding personnel. And so on a quarterly basis, one of the things that I'll do is I'm going to be submitting to council a kind of a roster of the number of full-time and part-time personnel that we have in the city, just so that people can keep current with that. And clearly, as those positions change, as vacancies become available, if there are some things that need to be done regarding salary, those can be, of course, discussed appropriately in an executive session. But I do think that it was a great idea and just another way to help to facilitate communication. Also, before you tonight, there is a very important piece of legislation, and it's not, I was just looking at it, it's not on the agenda, or at least I didn't see it listed on there, but it is it's a resolution, and the resolution is needed. As I mentioned to, I think the majority of you, I was able to talk to you earlier regarding this particular piece of legislation. But when the previous legislation for the upcoming road levy was passed, the resolution contained the incorrect ORC reference. And so we were notified by the Hamilton County Auditor's Office. So there is a piece of legislation that is before you tonight that does contain the proper reference. And so I would hope that council would simply pass that particular piece of legislation, suspend the readings, pass it so that we can, we will be able to send that back to the auditor's office. They can get us the valuations, and then we can continue on our timeline to make sure that the road levy or the street levy makes it, the renewal, makes it onto the May 2021 ballot.
Mr.
And-
President. Mr. President,
Sorry, Ms. Deagle.
I'd like to address Mr. Mosby for a moment. If you look at the agenda, I believe it's Resolution 21, 2020. You and I talked about this, and that's the title that is always given this. And I've often wondered why that title is not more clear as to what the action is. It's the one that says declaring the necessity of levying a tax in a 10
No,
mil.
I saw that. Yes, I did see that. What I was saying was, and forgive me, but I'm looking on legislation and I see 11, 16, 17, all as first readings. I just didn't see it as a first reading on the agenda. That's
21 is on the, it is on the agenda, sir.
It's under 17. You probably have the agenda that I made before you gave me this change.
Oh, okay. I
So-
apologize. That's why I was confused.
Okay,
I am sorry.
that's all right. I just
you're
want,
probably right.
is on here
Okay.
for a first reading.
Okay, I apologize. Thank you
That's
very
all right.
much then. So that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mosby. All right, next up would be the law director report. I do not see our law director on the meeting, so we'll turn it over to the finance director, Ms. Hall.
I do not have anything at this time, but I do want to wish everyone a happy holidays and be safe.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. All right, call of members. Ms. Bailey.
I don't really have anything, just asking everybody, be safe, don't get exposed, and have a great Christmas. Oh, I do actually have something. Since we have nobody being sworn in this year, can we please consider it in our lovely hearts not to have a meeting on January 1 of 2021?
I believe the only time we have meetings is when someone is getting sworn in on the 1st.
It's been a precedent for me. It's been every year except for this time. So can we please just not do that?
Mr. President,
Ms. Dewald.
I believe that our mayor is correct. We only have that inauguration type meeting on January 1st when we have, once the election's passed and we have new elected officials.
Awesome. So then I'll say this. I'm thankful that
It's
this
just
is
such
the
a
first
striking
year.
memory that you think it's every year.
Because it's been every year for me. This is the first year that it hasn't been. Oddly enough.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification, Madam Mayor and Ms. Dewald. Ms. Bailey, do you have anything else?
Nope.
Thank you very much. Next up, Ms. Blythe.
Just wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and be safe. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Blythe. Ms. Underwood?
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't really have anything. I just do want to tell everyone to stay safe. Wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and also Happy Kwanzaa to those who celebrate Kwanzaa. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller Novak?
Oh, same thing. I have really nothing to say. Congratulations to all the school students who were on winter break, and I guess that includes the mayor. Congratulations for having 2 weeks off while the rest of us work like suckers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then Merry Christmas or any other holiday that anybody else celebrates during this season. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Zorb? Ms. Zorb? You apparently are
How
muted.
about, nope, I had
Oh,
my
that
microphone
helps.
up
Yes,
over
that's
my
much
head.
better.
Sorry.
Got it.
Sorry, I'll start over. So I really have nothing to add except I'm going to steal a line from one of the news reporters, and she says, "Stay safe and test negative." Or no, sorry, I messed that up. She says, "Stay positive and test negative." So there you go.
That,
All right.
that actually
Sorry.
sounds pretty good. All right.
Yeah. And Happy
All right.
New Year.
Thank you. Ms. Hartman?
Merry Christmas and hope for a Happy New Year. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
Yeah, I don't have anything. Just Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year.
All right. Thank you. All right. So that will move us to executive session based on the amended agenda.
Mr. President,
Mr. Miller Novak?
I move that we enter executive session to discuss the salary and the compensation and employment of one or more public employees.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion.
All right. Motion by Mr. Miller Novak, second by Ms. Zorb to move to executive session. Any discussion? All right. So you will all need to log out of this meeting. Go to your email from Ms. Zorb, which you received after this meeting started. Log into that Zoom meeting. And then when that concludes, we will log back into this meeting. Drew will keep us running here in the city center.
Drew, I have a question because you made me host. If I end, does that end it all? How do I leave?
I think it will give you an option to turn somebody else into the host. If you press leave, it should give you a chance to leave instead of end.
Did you hear that?
I heard it, but the only little box I have says end, just so you know.
Really? Okay.
I know.
That's a bit concerning. So it says end meeting in the bottom right corner.
Mr. President, I have to interrupt for a moment. I'm seeing people clicking off. A motion was made, but no vote was taken to go into executive session.
You are correct, because we were still in discussion.
And some people have already said bye-bye.
We do have 4 still here.
The
You wanna
one
take-
that made the motion, Matt, are you still here? I see that you look like you're still here.
I'm
Matt
here.
is still here. Ms.
Yep,
Zorb
I'm
is still here.
And I believe Miss Anderson seconded the motion. I don't see her.
I
No,
seconded.
Ms. Zorb did.
Oh, Miss Zorb did. Oh, well, I'll change my notes. Okay.
All right, well, go ahead and call the roll then.
Miss Bailey? Miss Blythe? Miss Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak?
Yes.
Miss Zorb?
Yes.
Miss Hartman?
Yes.
And Miss Anderson? So I have, how do you want me to record this in? 4-0? There were
4 to
no
0.
no votes.
Yeah, I put asterisks next to the names of the 3 people. We need to put in the notes that they had already moved to the next meeting.
Okay, and so the 4 present voted yes to go into executive
Correct.
session.
So it is a
Okay,
4
so
0.
motion passes 4-0, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty.
Mary Jo, can you stay logged in and just call into the executive session?
I think she'll be fine. I think once you click on end meeting, that's when it'll give you the option to, it'll say end for all or end or leave meeting will be the other option.
Did you hear that?
I did hear it. I'm giving it a shot.
All right, do it.
Yeah, it does say end for all or leave meeting. He's right. I'm leaving meeting.
Don't click that. Don't click that.
I'm clicking leave meeting.
All right. I'm going to go in the other room. Huh?
Is it up now? Because we couldn't get in.
Yeah, I don't think it was going to let you until Mary Jo got on. Ooh.
I know. Look, oh, I'm going to give you a tip. Here you go. It's out there. Go get it.
Drew, everybody will be signing back into this meeting.
All right.
That's Ms. Bailey. Amber Bailey. And then the other phone number in the panelist list is Elizabeth Hartman.
What was the last name?
Hartman, Hartman. Yes, AN. Is everyone back?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
back.
It looks like everyone's back. All right, do we need a motion to go back to our meeting?
Mr. President, I'd like to
Yes.
make a motion to resume council meeting back from executive session.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion.
Motion for Ms. Zorb, second for Ms. Anderson to resume our meeting from executive session. Please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Yes.
and Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to resume meeting passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dewald. All right, next item on the agenda is legislation. Ms. Dewald.
First piece of legislation is the first reading of ordinance 11/2020. Establish a rate for 1 to 4 family residential trash and recycling service and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend second and third reading of ordinance 11/2020.
Mr. President, I'll second that.
Motion for Ms. Bailey, second for Ms. Zorb to suspend second and third readings on ordinance 11-2020. Discussion? Ms. Dewald, please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Yes.
Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to suspend passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 11/2020.
Motion from Ms. Bailey to adopt ordinance 11-2020. Need a second.
Mr. President, I'll second.
Motion from Ms. Bailey, second from Ms. Zorb to adopt ordinance 11-2020. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Yes.
and Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to adopt passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next item on legislation there, Ms. Dewald.
Ordinance 16-2020, first reading, an ordinance adopting the budget for calendar year 2021 for the city of North College Hill.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey,
I'd like to make a motion to suspend second and third reading of ordinance 16-2020.
Mr. President, I'll second that.
motion from Ms. Bailey, second from Ms. Zorb, to suspend second and third readings for ordinance 16-2020. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak.
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Yes.
Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to suspend passes 7-0.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey,
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 16-2020.
Mr. President, I will second that motion.
motion from Ms. Bailey, second by Ms. Zorb, to adopt ordinance 16-2020. Discussion? Ms. Dewald, please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Yes.
Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to adopt ordinance 16 passes 7-0.
Thank you very much for that.
One moment.
We will
We have a
continue at
first-
your leisure.
We have a first reading on ordinance 17, an ordinance to establish salaries and staffing levels for city employees pursuant to the requirements of the section 3.06 of the City of the North College Hill Charter.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey,
I would like to make an amendment, well, two amendments to this. Under Mayor's Court Clerk, I would like to make an amendment that says, instead of the 45,556, I would like to make an amendment that reads $45,926.40, beginning August 1st of 2020. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Mr. President, I will second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Bailey, seconded by Ms. Zorb to amend ordinance 17-2020 by changing the mayor's court clerk to a salary of $45,926.40 beginning August 1, 2020. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
No.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Yes.
Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-1 to amend ordinance 17 regarding the court clerk salary.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey?
I would like to make another amendment to ordinance 17-2020, and that would read, under the law director's salary, the range would read from $30,000 to a maximum of $50,000.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dewald?
just for clarification, that was $30,000 to 50,000.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion.
All right, motion by Ms. Bailey, seconded by Ms. Underwood to amend ordinance 17-2020 to change the range of the law director's salary to a number between $30,000 and $50,000. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
No.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
No.
Miss Hartman,
No.
Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-3 to have the law director salary range between $30,000 to $50,000.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend second and third reading on ordinance 17-2020.
We have a motion on the floor.
I have a point of order. I have a question, Mr. President.
Yes, Ms. Underwood.
If I second her motion, I'm not required to vote yes, right? I'm just, because I just want, if I just want it to, the question to be called.
You are not required to vote yes.
That is
Okay.
correct.
Mr. President, I'll second the motion.
All right, motion by Ms. Bailey, second by Ms. Underwood to suspend second and third readings on ordinance 17-2020. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
No.
Miss Underwood,
No.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Nope.
Miss Hartman,
No.
Miss Anderson.
No.
Motion to suspend second and third readings fails by a vote of 5-2.
Thank you, Ms. Dewald.
Okay, that was 17. We have a second reading on ordinance 14, 2020. Making a, I see I left that same 2020 in there twice. I'll fix that for the next one. Ordinance 14, 2020, making appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures for the city of North College Hill, Ohio, for the period beginning January 1st, 2021 and ending December 31st, 2021.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey?
I would like to make a motion that we suspend third reading of ordinance 14, 2020. Mr. President, I would also like to say that this is our cleanup ordinance and we will have to have a special meeting between now and the end of the year.
Mr. President, I'll second the motion.
All right, motion by Ms. Bailey, second by Ms. Zorb, suspend third reading of ordinance 14-2020. Discussion?
Mr. President, Mary Dewald here. I
Ms. Dewald?
think when I copy and pasted this, I did not make the change. Should this read, if this is cleanup, this should read January 1st, 2020 through December 31st,
Correct.
2020. I'll make that
Yes, ma'am.
correction. Sorry about that, folks. Copy and paste will kill you. Okay,
We all make mistakes, Ms. Dewald.
I made my
Still a
share.
hell of a clerk.
Okay, so we have a second from Ms. Zorb. Sorry.
Yes, motion by Bailey, second by Zorb. Please
Okay,
call the roll.
Mr. President, point of order.
who's calling that?
Sorry. Ms.
Her.
Zorb?
Yes. Did I fall asleep for 5 seconds and miss the first reading on resolution 21, 2020?
No, we didn't have it just yet.
So we just skipped over that? Sorry.
I think so. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you, another mistake.
Still a
Okay,
hell of a clerk.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
We're
Okay,
in between the two things. I apologize. I was working off the wrong agenda when we came back.
No
Good
worries.
now.
I'm just trying to make sure that I'm,
You
In
got
order.
it.
all right, thank you.
somebody's got to keep us in line. Okay, so we are
All
looking
right,
at
so
suspension of third reading on ordinance 14.
yes, ma'am. Motion by Bailey, second by Zorb. Please call the roll on this one.
Thank you. Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
I don't know what we're voting on. I lost track.
we are oh, I'm sorry, Mr. President.
We're voting to suspend the third reading on ordinance 14, 2020. This is the cleanup ordinance.
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Yes.
Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to suspend on ordinance 14 passes 7-0.
Mr.
you.
President,
Ms. Bailey?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 14, 2020.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Bailey, second by Ms. Zorb to adopt ordinance 14-2020. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Yes.
Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to adopt ordinance 14 passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you. So yes, we will step back to first reading for resolution 21-2020. Ms. Dewald? when you're
Thank
ready.
you. And my apologies.
Yeah.
Um,
You and me both.
Okay, we are first reading Resolution 21, 2020. A resolution declaring the necessity of levying a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation and requesting the county auditor to certify matters in connection therewith.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend second and third reading on Resolution 21, 2020.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Bailey, second from Ms. Underwood. To suspend second and third reading of Resolution 21-2020. Discussion.
Mr. President, I would just like to point out right quick that this is for our street levy. We are under a timeline. We did already pass the same resolution one time, except for there was an error made in the legislation that cited a different subsection rather than what should have been cited. And so we've already been through this, and it is my hope that we can just get it done.
Correct. This is an effort to clean up an error in the, a typographical error in the original one that we did already pass. So thank you for that, Ms. Bailey. Please call the roll, Ms. Dewald.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to suspend second and third reading passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 21, 2020.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Underwood. Motion by Ms. Bailey, second by Ms. Underwood to adopt Resolution 21-2020. Discussion.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb.
I have a question that I'm not quite certain is pertinent, but I'm going to ask it anyhow. As stated, we already passed this resolution and we're doing this to fix a mistake that was made. Does there need to be anything in here that says this supersedes the resolution 17 that we already passed? Because I don't see anything in here.
Mr. President,
Mosby.
that would not be necessary. The county auditor has already come back and said that they could not do anything with that particular resolution because it did not reference the correct ORC, as Ms. Bailey said earlier.
Side notes, good thing we have our law director on this call to verify that. Thank you.
All right, please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Yes.
Miss Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, motion to suspend. Is that where we
This
are?
is to adopt.
No, motion
This
to
is
adopt. I'm sorry. Motion passes, to adopt passes 7-0.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item on the agenda is comments from the audience. Well, I don't want to say there's no one in the room. Drew's here with me. And I see no participants online, so we will move on to old business. I'm sorry, yeah, old business.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
For old business, did we ever get word back on our charter review commission as far as the legality of saying, okay, we wanted to start one versus actually having members in place, or no?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself, Mr. President.
Ms. Underwood.
No, I did not. So I will do some research and try to figure that out.
Any other old business?
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb, yes.
just as a matter of housekeeping, and I believe our clerk could remove both items that are listed as old business, because the temporary budget is not needed if we did pass the full budget tonight. And then
Yes, ma'am.
we heard from administration that they did not wish to move forward with ordinance 1220. So that is going to die in committee.
Both of those
Okay.
are going to just die in committee. We're just choking them out.
So they will not be on the next agenda. Thank you.
So noted. Thank you.
Any other old business? All right, next item on the agenda, new business.
Mr. President, I'd like
Ms.
to
Duval?
set up an appointment time with Ron Mosby to talk about the new copier and the amount of copies that are being made from there and who all has access to that copier. And is it coming out of council's budget? Because if it's coming out of council's budget, only council should be making copies from that copier.
Not necessarily. I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Miller Novak.
I mean, it's the only copy in the city, right? A copy machine in the city, right?
So I guess my first question is, if it's coming out of council's budget, and we only have a limited amount of copies per month, how am I going to regulate that? What are we going to do? Drain the council's budget dry because everybody wants to make a copy?
Mr. President?
Mosby.
Well, yes, I mean, Ms. DeWall is absolutely correct that it is money that is coming out of the council's budget. However, administration doesn't use that copier.
There are meetings that are held in the caucus room. I was there the other night. There was a meeting. And I know in the past that they have used the copier to make copies for their meeting. So if there's one committee meeting in there, then there's probably others. I don't know. It was just something I thought of while I was sitting back there working. Who all has access to this copier? And again, how many copies are we limited to in a month time span?
Well, we have, according to the terms of the lease, we have 2,000 black and white copies per month.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Mr. Miller Novak.
Ron, who's using it? I mean, when she says committees or whatever, I mean, are we referring to commissions?
Yes, and the CIC
So-
does
so-
use it from time to time.
Okay, so I want to stop right there. I didn't want to call out names. That's not my point here. I didn't want to call out what groups are in there using it. I just know that they would have, if they have meetings in there, they've got access to the copier. And because they've had access in years past, it would just, habit would tell them that they could still use this copier, not knowing the restrictions that we have now.
Well, while I'm sorry, Mr. President,
Miller Novak.
I'm not asking to call out any names. I'm just asking because some commissions and And like the CIC and things like that. I mean, they're public bodies in our city. I mean, they don't necessarily have their own budget, so I don't know that they don't necessarily fall under ours or not. But is there a way, Ron, that number one, that information should be shared, that they're to use copies sparingly and not wastefully? Number two, is there a way to program a code into the copy machine that no unauthorized person could use it?
Mr. President,
Mr. Mosby?
I mean, I can certainly, as Mr. DeWalt said, I mean, she and I can certainly sit down and talk about it. But I was going to say, most of these other commissions only meet once a month. I don't know who, well, and again, it's not the person, I guess. Perhaps if there were some copies made, I don't know what that number would have been. But I can tell you that we did not have, I know at the last, I'm just going to use CIC. The last CIC meeting, there were only 4 people that were present. So there couldn't have been, if it had been CIC, there probably couldn't have been more than 12 copies that would have been made. I do, though, appreciate and understand the concern because of the fact that there is a limit, as Mr. DeWalt rightly stated, with this particular lease. So I can talk with her offline and we can certainly make an agreement and set up perhaps even some security procedures if that would make either Mrs. DeWalt or anyone else on council feel a little more secure regarding the use of the copier.
Mr. President.
Mr. Miller Novak.
Ron, that's fine. Any way you got to do it. I mean, if they're city commissions or committees and they need copies to do the work on behalf of their city, then they need to have the ability to do their work and make copies. I mean, I would just say pass on to make sure everybody knows that we now have a limit that we might not have previously had, and then you figure out where they make their copies. I don't care. I mean, as long as they're doing it for city business and city work, then they need to be able to do it.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWalt?
I kind of understand where Mr. Miller Novak is coming from. My concern is that it's coming out of council's budget. So if it came out of the general fund, I wouldn't have a problem with how many copies are made off that copier. But
Mr. President.
there is a way to pass code it all, but that would mean that each individual person that uses it would have to enter their own personal passcode. So I don't know if we want to go that far. I mean, that's almost Big Brotherish.
Mr. Mosby?
I'm sorry, it's just her use of the term big brother. I was going to say, though, for clarity, that ultimately, all of the usage, whether it comes from the copy machine in the council conference room or in the finance office, that is all coming out of the general fund. It's just the different appropriations. So if they use the one in the finance office, it would be coming typically from the finance department, but still ultimately they're all being charged to the general fund. But I do appreciate the fact that there are, and again, Mr. DeWalt is absolutely correct. There are a limited amount of copies that can be made on a monthly basis. There is a counter on the machine, so they do keep track of the number of copies that are being made.
Okay, thank you.
So Ms. DeWalt, are you going to have a meeting then with the city administrator?
Right. I'm going to have to set something up, and then also, Mike, I would need to hold a conversation with you about minutes, the meeting minutes. So before you leave that building tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other new business?
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey?
I had raised a question or a thought or a discussion point, I guess, not so long ago about using potential new CARES Act funding for council for surfaces because of all of the technical errors that we have. And I know that it was talked about in public safety, but I'm not sure if any more discussion has been had about it. I would like to see that if it is possible to do that, to keep our infrastructure closed and sound, and also to help out with the technical difficulties that we're having with council and computers and copiers now. So
Miss Bailey, I'm going to need clarification on what you just said. I can't seem to make a complete thought. You want CARES Act funding for technical errors and technical difficulties?
no, for surfaces, Microsoft Surfaces. I've seen a lot of other communities are starting to provide their council members with Microsoft Surfaces, of course, with Microsoft Word on them, just to keep all of the city business safe during people working from home and whatnot. Just because what's on my personal computer and what I do may open it up to other people getting into my email and whatnot. And so I raised the question to see if that's something that we wanted to do as a city, just to make sure that all of our internal data was being kept safe.
So yeah, it would be nice too if the laptop that I have has Microsoft Word on it. It would make things simpler, but I don't have it on mine. So I don't know how that affects the city pay wise, because it's probably each account needs to be charged for Microsoft.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb.
actually, I think my question is to Ms. Bailey. Are you suggesting that we put this discussion in a particular committee to discuss, or do you just want to talk about it at council? Or where are you going?
So we discussed it in finance, and it was just kind of like left out there. And then I think it's also been discussed in public safety as well. So do we want to put it in a committee? Are we interested in it at all? Basically, I don't want it to stay out on the back burner, but I also just want to make sure that our data is being safe. So if we want to put it in a committee to discuss more in depth, I'm cool with that. If we don't want to discuss it at all, if my peers don't think that it's a good idea in any means, then I don't want to waste time on it. So I guess I'm just trying to get a direction on whether we want to talk about it further or if we're not interested at all.
I can tell you that I have a document from another city that they used, but I will say that they probably do things a little differently than we do, because they just handled it via a motion, and I don't know how comfortable we feel about that.
I'm comfortable with handling it as a motion. I'll make a motion that the city provides the council members, the clerk of council, and the president of council Microsoft Surfaces for 2021 out of CARES Act funding to keep our internal data safe.
If that's good enough, I'll second that motion.
I have a question. Sorry, Mr. President. Does anybody else have any other ideas for CARES Act? I don't love the idea of getting this all computers. I know it's for the safety of online safety, but I don't know if that's, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't totally think that that's the best use of money from the CARES Act. So I mean, if anybody else had another idea, I was just wondering if you wanted to speak up, but I don't have any other ideas.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
um, uh, wasn't there like a time limit on the length of time that we had to use our CARES Act funding, and in fact that the CARES Act funding was all used?
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
I do believe with what's being signed that they are going to probably not only extend that, but replenish us.
So, Mr. Mosby, you can clarify that we currently do not have CARES Act funding available?
No, I wouldn't say that we don't have CARES Act funding available. I would have to talk with Ms. Hall about it, but we have allocated most of our CARES Act funding, most of it, to the police and fire to cover their salaries and overtime.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson.
maybe this is a question for Ms. Hall or Mr. Mosby, but would we even have enough money left from the CARES Act funding to get surfaces for everybody? Because I mean, surfaces are expensive.
Again, I'm not sure. I mean, we weren't I'll be honest, we weren't anticipating a question for tonight. I think the only thing that I would ask for some clarification on, I'm not quite sure what was meant as far as security of information, because quite frankly, the more devices that you have outstanding, the harder it becomes to control the information. So if you had 7 devices that were out, you know, we'd have to make sure that all of those were being tracked. Now, I will say that we did speak with our IT firm, and we also did some work this past couple of months to secure our infrastructure, you know, internally for what we currently have, you know, within the administrative offices. But of course, that doesn't include council, because council didn't have separate devices. So again, I would just ask for clarification as far as what that meant, what that means to say that you want the data to be more secure if you have additional devices that are outstanding.
So with me, the way I feel about it is, and I'm not trying to like upplay it or downplay anything. I have an iMac. My iMac is super secure all the time. However, I know that there are council members that are using Windows, and a lot of Windows computers do fall into the category of not being so safe sometimes. So I feel like if we had one unified platform that of course was locked down by the city for city business only, then yes, that is devices out. However, they're monitored, they're controlled. They're not me using my personal computer or Mr. Graver or Miss Mary Jo or whomever using their personal computer that can fall victim of somebody getting in and reading our internal stuff, leaking our internal stuff, which there's not much to leak, I promise you that, or even going through and hijacking Zoom meetings.
Mr. President.
So for me,
So hold on there, Ms. Anderson. So just to clarify then, I think to answer the question of Mr. Mosby, you're referencing our personal data security, not city data security.
correct. And I feel like that if we had devices that were provided by the city, I don't care if surfaces are just the way that I've seen everybody else doing it, and I'm one of these people that I've learned not to reinvent the wheel. But I wouldn't care if they were Chromebooks or iMacs if we're trying to be really, really expensive. I'm just saying our personal devices that we're using for Zoom and city business could be infected with people watching the Russians.
Ms. Anderson.
So would it maybe be a better use of money if instead of buying everybody new computers, we did like security software? Because I know like on my computer, I have a pretty hardy, I actually have a Surface, but I have a pretty hardy security software on it. and so I guess I don't get as nervous with people hacking it or whatnot. So maybe that would be a better allocation of money instead of doing all new computers, because like Mr. Mosby was saying, I mean, another computer is just another thing that people can get onto. So maybe instead of adding more, we just secure what we already have.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
I guess my question would be, if the city is providing devices for people, are then we required to use that device? Would we have to develop rules with regard to the use of the devices provided by the city? It just seems to me like an extra layer of bureaucracy. And I have enough things that I carry around. I wouldn't want to carry that additional thing around. I mean, obviously, I'll follow along with the majority, but it just seems, when I'm ready to do work, for whatever I have to do, I just like to have the flexibility of doing what I want to do without, carrying an additional device to do that.
Mr. President,
Mr. Mosby.
so I'm hoping that I don't do the equivalent of maybe what might be a political poll boy, just kind of putting everything into this response, but I am going to try. So as I was listening to Ms. Bailey, the first thing I wanted to say is that we did upgrade all of our computers here in the city with updated Windows, so that we would reduce any security risks on any current or any existing platforms that we have, or any devices that we have. So that was number one. So we do have security on those devices. These devices are secure, number one. Number two, I appreciate what Marjorie is saying, because it's a good point. If we have the more devices that you have, the more devices that you have to secure. So then it does add, an additional expense. So if we have 7 Surface or Surface Pros, then you're going to have to also have 7 subscriptions, for security. We're going to have to make sure that we inventory all 7 of those devices. And then to actually add on to Ms. Underwood's question, I would say that for safety purposes, the answer to your question would probably be yes. In other words, you would need to conduct whatever city business that you would have on that particular device, if that was going to be the purpose of obtaining or purchasing the device in the first place.
All right. So, I'll be honest with you, I am not interested in a device. So can we put a denial clause in your motion, Ms. Bailey, if for anybody that doesn't want it? I don't want it to be forced on me.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yes. Like I said, it's just, I have been reading a lot through like the White House briefing emails about how small cities are succumbing to this. And it's not necessarily always what is on the infrastructure or intranet of the actual city. They're coming in through personal devices. And so I just want to make sure we're being safe. And yeah, we can have a denial clause.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson.
would we want to put like a denial clause? Because I agree that we should be safe. I just don't know if like getting everybody a computer is the best way to go about it. Do we want to make a option of like, oh, you can get a computer, or you could do security software on your own personal device? Because I just don't, I agree that we should be safe about it, but I don't think that the city should buy me a computer.
So do we want to throw
so
it? Do we just want to, can I just rescind my motion, and do we want to throw this into committee so that way we can discuss it further?
Yeah, if it needs to be discussed further, I think we should take it to
I
committee.
think it does. Yeah. Finance is full right now. And will probably be full again. As well as city and community development.
Mr.
I don't know.
President,
Ms. Underwood?
we can take this up in public safety if Miss Bailey would
Thank
like
you. That's where
to do
I'd like
that.
it to go.
Thank
Yeah, that'll
you.
work for me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you're rescinding your motion, Ms. Bailey?
Yes, ma'am. And then Miss Underwood, what I'll do is I'll send you like whatever research I have on it or what I find on it, so the way it can like make your life a little easier.
Thank you, Miss Bailey.
Awesome. Cool. Other than that, the only other new business that I can think of is creating an employment policy for employees that aren't part of a collective bargaining agreement going forward, so we don't run into issues that we've ran into as of recent. And I don't know if Rules and Public Policy wants to do it, or if you want it to go into finance.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I don't think that that's within the purview of council. I think that I don't think that we would handle that particular issue. Mr. Miller Novak, can you just correct me if I'm wrong?
Are you
I
talking
believe
about
so.
whether or not rules of public policy would handle it?
No, just
council would, because I believe that it was stated that we needed an ordinance that said when new people were hired in, or people in general, we would do this, this, and this, and that we would not any longer go with golf course deals, backdoor deals, old boys club deals, that there would be like an employment agreement. We would pick up X amount of OPERS and X amount of insurance subsidies.
Well, things like OPERS is statutory. That's state law, right? And contracts, you don't enter into contracts with unclassified employees. That's why they're unclassified, right? You have contracts with bargaining classified employees. I
think that,
you know,
how do we prevent going forward with not having employment agreements, I guess, if you will, whatever ordinance or policy that was stated that we need to do in order to prevent this? Like, is that on council? Should our law director write up an ordinance? I mean,
it's
what
not.
do we do?
It's the charter.
Okay.
So, I mean, what happened in the past happened because people didn't follow the laws that already exist within our charter in the state of Ohio generally. So, you know, I mean, there's no laws or system of laws you can create that foreclose people from violating those laws. I mean, the laws we have in place are fine as long as people follow them.
I'm sorry, I got distracted by gunshots. But okay, cool. If we don't need to make a policy on it and we don't need an ordinance to do any of it, then I'm cool on it too. Less work for us.
Yeah, Amber, we really don't want to. That's the whole point of an unclassified employee. They're the government version of an at-will employee, as opposed to a union/collective bargaining agreement. The more policies you make, then the less flexibility you have with unclassified employees. So we probably just want to leave it where it is, and moving forward, just hope that our current administration and future administrations just don't go doing things without proper authority.
Cool. I'm cool with that too.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
if there is no further business, I'd like to make a motion. We adjourn.
Mr. President, I will second that.
Ms. Anderson was ahead of you there, Ms. Bailey, so
Cool.
Ms. Anderson? Motion to adjourn by Ms. Zorb, second by Ms. Anderson. Call the roll, please, Ms. DeWald.
Ms. Bailey,
Yes.
Ms. Blythe,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Hartman,
Yes.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn passes 7-0.
Thank you, everyone. This meeting is adjourned.
Mike? Mike, I need to talk with you before you leave.
I will call you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Lori.